Now we come to types of research. In fact, there are many types of research which are divided and based on mainly three major paradigms which determine to us the type of each research and distinguishes it from the other types of research. So, researches are divided into numerous types depending on, first, nature of the phenomena, second, types of variables, third are also ways of investigation. So, these variables, each one of them can determine to us a particular type of research. Clear? Type of research. So, let's start with the first division, which is very common in the field of research methodology, which is descriptive research versus analytical research. Descriptive, it means description. Here we feel that the role of the researcher is a bit, we can say, passive comparing to the analytical research where he has a more active role, right, as he analyzes the data and information. So when we say descriptive research, we mean the type of research which tends to describe the studied phenomenon in its current state. So here the researcher studies, the phenomenon in its existing state, but he has no control over the variables. He doesn't intervene in the variables or modify anything. He just observe and describe. That's all. Right. He reports only what happens. No more. Whereas in the analytical research, the researcher has to analyze facts or information, data he collected to make a critical evaluation of the material. So here he has his own touch with the variables. All right, he needs to analyze them, studies them more deeply, clear, and so on and so forth. So here his role is more positive comparing to the descriptive research. Second division also concerns the applied research versus fundamental research. When I say applied research, I mean here practical, applied, practical, or applicable research, which aims at finding solutions for an immediate problem. Applied seeks to solve a particular problem facing a society or a company or a business or any organization and so on. Clear? Whereas fundamental here refers more to theoretical research, which is concerned mainly with generalizations and formulation of a theory. So, fundamental is theoretical, applied is practical, solve a problem. Now, for the fundamental and theoretical one, I say, like for example, researches about mathematics, which are purely theoretical researches, or even also generalizations about human behavior. So these two represent examples of fundamental and theoretical researches. Whereas, for example, researches about or to find a solution to a concrete social or business problem, all right, these are examples of applied research that seeks to solve problems more than theorize, rather than theorizing. Third division is another division which is also very important, represents the division of the two types. Quantitative research from quantity, measurements, versus qualitative research from quality. Right. Here also by quantitative we refer to the research which is based on the measurement of quantity or amount. It's applied to phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity. Right. Any phenomenon which is subject to quantifying, process, when we quantify and count its maybe figures, numbers, statistics, or calculations, this belongs to what we call quantitative research. Right, it relates to quantity, measurements, and calculations. Whereas qualitative research relates to quality of a phenomenon, clear, which involves analyzing the quality or kind of data. Right, for example, like investigating the reasons of particular human behavior or motives of a phenomenon. Right, so when we say quantitative, we refer to quantity, measurements, calculating, counting, all right, the body of the phenomena, all right, or what we are investigating. When we say qualitative, we refer to analyzing, clear, the quality of what we are studying. What we are studying as phenomena, right? Also, there can be, sometimes it can be mixed research, by the way. It can be quantitative, and at the same time also qualitative. It's called mixed research here, and requires both modalities to be used by the researcher, depending, as we said before, on the nature, right, of the phenomena, okay, or even the variables we are studying, right, or even the way of investigation, which requires this mixture of using this combination of both qualitative and quantitative. The fourth division also represents conceptual research versus empirical research. Conceptual. It's like theoretical a bit. Okay, conceptual, concept. This one relates to some abstract ideas or theory. It is used by philosophers and thinkers to develop new concepts or reinterpret existing ones. Conceptual here, the researcher is going to conduct research to come up with new what? Concepts, right? New abstract ideas, new philosophies, and so on. Whereas empirical, the research, okay, it relies on experience, laboratory experiments, or even observation alone sometimes, without due regard for system or theory. Here, empirical relates to what is, if you can say, ultimately applicable, experimental, okay, and so on. It is data-based research. Data-based research rather than theoretical one. It relates to what is experimental and what is applicable. All right, unlike the first one, which is theoretical. There are also many other types of research which represent, in fact, variations of one or more of the previous approaches we have highlighted together. And these types also are divided depending on certain factors. Mainly, time required to accomplish research. Second, environment of research, where it is done, right? Or the purpose or objective of research, or also many other factors. So these three determine to us new types of research and new divisions and dichotomies at the level of these different types of research. Now let's start with the first factor, which is the point of time. Regarding the point of time in research, we can divide the research into two major types. One-time research, here when the research is confined to a single time period. It is done, carried out during a single time period. Whereas longitudinal research, here it is carried out on several time periods. Clear, on several time periods and not in one time period. Now, in regard to the second factor of division, which is environment of research, we can speak of two also other types, which are field setting research versus laboratory research. field setting research, a research that is conducted in its field, in the field, right, in its context, right. Unlike laboratory research, it is where the phenomenon, right, is studied in laboratory, not in its field, right. Also, we can come up with division, or here also learn about the clinical research, or also it's called diagnostic research. It's a type of research that adopts the case study methods to investigate causal relations. It goes deep into the causes of things or events that interest the researcher. It uses also very small sample and deep data gathering devices. A third factor, which also is responsible for coming up with other types of research, is the purpose of research or the objective of research. We have exploratory research versus formalized research. For exploratory here we mean the research that has the objective of developing hypotheses rather than testing them. So, in this exploratory research, the researcher is concerned with what? With developing hypotheses, not testing them. Unlike in the formalized one, here where we find, substantial structure and specific hypothesis to be tested. Here the researcher focuses on testing hypotheses, right, rather than developing them. Clear? Besides also other common types like historical research, which uses historical sources like documents, remains, and so on to study events or ideas of the past. Right. This research is specialized in delving into past events or past philosophies of people or past, philosophies or groups of people, all right, and studying them from this, perspective, historical perspective. Good. Also, research can be classified as either conclusion, oriented research, or as decision-oriented research. In the first one, which is conclusion oriented research, here the researcher is free to pick up, a problem or redesign the inquiry course and conceptualize it as he wishes. He is free to conduct the research, following his own inclinations, his own methodologies and techniques that he chooses and opts for, in conducting this research. Whereas in the decision-oriented research, here there is a need for a decision maker, some authority which is above the researcher, clear. And here the researcher is not free to embark upon research as he wishes. He can't follow his own inclinations, and his own methodologies. He is limited to what this decision maker, determines to him to conduct and to accomplish his research course and study.